Ever had such a bad headache you felt like drilling a hole in your head? Well, medieval doctors thought that was actually a brilliant solution. Get ready for the wildest, most painful chapter in medical history, when skull drilling was totally normal. Here's the wild part. Medieval doctors had this totally bizarre theory that headaches, seizures, and even evil spirits were caused by pressure building up inside your skull. Like a pot of pasta about to boil over, they thought your brain needed a pressure release valve. Their solution? Grab a drill and make a hole. They believed this would let the bad stuff escape and the good healing vibes flow in. I know it sounds completely bonkers to us now, but back then, this was cutting-edge medicine. They even had special tools for it, bronze drills and scrapers that would make your local hardware store look tame. And get this, some patients actually survived and walked around with permanent skylights in their heads. Ready for the most surprising part? The people doing these skull surgeries weren't exactly what we'd call doctors today. Your local barber, yeah, the same guy who trimmed your beard, was probably your best bet for brain surgery. These barber surgeons were basically the Swiss Army knives of medieval medicine. They had the steadiest hands in town from all that shaving and hair cutting. But wait, there's more. If you couldn't find a barber, you might end up with a monk drilling into your skull. Monasteries were like the medieval Mayo Clinic, complete with gardens full of medicinal herbs and monks who learned surgery from ancient medical texts. Talk about a career change, from copying biblical manuscripts to performing brain surgery. Let me show you the medieval surgeon's toolkit, but maybe don't watch this part while eating. First up, we've got the trepan, basically a hand-cranked drill that looks like something from your nightmare DIY project. These came in different sizes, from small hole to wow, that's basically a window. Then there's the scarier stuff, like the circular saw, which doctors would twist between their hands like they were starting a campfire, except, in someone's skull. They even had special scrapers to smooth out the edges. Because apparently, if you're drilling holes in heads, you might as well make them look nice. The weirdest part? Some of these tools were actually pretty well made, with fancy decorative handles and everything. I guess if you're going to drill someone's head, you might as well do it in style. Here's the mind-blowing part. A lot of people actually survived this skull drilling business. We've found thousands of ancient skulls with perfect circular holes, and many show clear signs of healing. That means these people didn't just survive the surgery, they lived for years afterward. Archaeological evidence suggests success rates around 60–80% in some cultures, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. I mean, these surgeons didn't have anesthesia, antibiotics, or even basic sterilization. They were basically working with the same tools you'd find in a medieval carpenter's shop. The secret? The human skull is surprisingly tough, and our ancestors were way better at this than we give them credit for. Some patients even came back for seconds. We've found skulls with multiple healed holes. Talk about repeat customers. Okay, brace yourself, because medieval pain management was about as sophisticated as using a rock for a pillow. The anesthesia of choice. Usually a mix of alcohol and medicinal herbs like opium poppy or mandrake root. Sometimes they'd just straight up knock people unconscious with a wooden mallet. I wish I was joking. Some surgeons use something called a soporific sponge, soaked in a cocktail of mysterious herbs that they'd hold under the patient's nose. But most of the time, it was just a matter of bite down on this leather strap and try not to scream too much. They believed that pain was actually good for healing. Something about awakening the body's natural healing powers. Yeah, medieval medicine was wild. You wouldn't believe some of the reasons people signed up for skull drilling. Got a case of the blues? Drill hole. Hearing voices? Drill hole. Think you're possessed by demons? You better believe that's a drill hole. Medieval doctors had this fascinating list of curable by drilling conditions. My favorite has to be melancholy, basically what we'd call depression today. They figured the dark thoughts were like thick black smoke trapped inside your head, and a well-placed hole would let them escape. Then there were the folks who came in convinced they had little devils dancing in their skulls. The doctors would sometimes even pretend to pull out evil spirits, usually just some sleight of hand with a dead mouse or beetle. Talk about theatrical medicine. Here's where things get seriously cool. We've got actual ancient skulls that tell us exactly how this wild practice went down. Archaeologists have found these skull windows everywhere from Peru to France, some dating back 7,000 years. The really mind-blowing part? You can tell which patients survived because their skull holes show signs of healing, new bone growth around the edges, like your body's version of natural repair work. We've even found skulls with multiple healed holes, proving some people went back for seconds. The precision of these ancient surgeons is incredible. Most holes are perfectly round and smooth, showing they knew exactly how deep to drill without hitting the brain. It's like finding an ancient surgeon's report card written in bone. Here's a wild thought. Those medieval skull drillers actually helped shape modern brain surgery. Sure, we've upgraded from rusty drills to high-tech lasers, but the basic idea hasn't changed much. Today's surgeons still make holes in skulls to relieve pressure from brain injuries. We just call it a craniotomy now, and thankfully, we've added anesthesia to the mix. Those medieval surgical tools? They evolved into the precision instruments neurosurgeons use today. Even the way they map the skull to avoid important blood vessels, that's still crucial knowledge. Modern surgeons might roll their eyes at the whole releasing evil spirits thing, but they owe a lot to those brave or crazy medieval doctors who first dared to open up the human head. You might think skull drilling was just a European thing, but this wild practice popped up all over the world. The Incas were absolute masters at it. Their success rates would make modern surgeons jealous. In ancient China, doctors used acupuncture needles to figure out where to drill, while Pacific Islander healers used sharp seashells instead of metal tools. Native American shamans had their own twist. They'd sometimes place crystals inside the holes, creating literal crystal heads. Each culture had its own special tools and techniques, from bronze drills in ancient Greece to obsidian blades in Mesoamerica. It's like there was this global agreement that holes in heads were totally the way to go, just with different local flavors. Here's something that'll blow your mind. There are people today who think drilling holes in their heads is a great idea. They call themselves modern trepanners, and they're convinced that having a third eye, literally, can expand consciousness and boost brain blood flow. Take Peter Halverson, who drilled his own skull in 1972 with an electric drill. He claimed it gave him a permanent natural high. There's even an international trepanation advocacy group. Yes, that's real. But here's the kicker. Modern doctors are pretty unanimous on this one. Please don't drill holes in your head at home. Some things are better left in the history books. And that's the whole story of medieval brain surgery. Pretty wild how far we've come, right? If you enjoyed this head-spinning tale, smash that like button, subscribe for more bizarre medical history, and share with your friends. It's a no-brainer.